I now reconvene to the regular meeting of the Board of Education at 7 o'clock with Cruz, Na, Orozco, and Fikes present. Before we begin, please silence all electronic devices and note that these proceedings are being recorded. Pat.
The board met in closed session from 5:36 p.m. to 6:30 regarding conference with legal counsel, existing and anticipated litigation, a student expulsion matter, public employee discipline dismissal release, public employee appointment, junior high school principal and director of human resources, conference with labor negotiators, ACT and Csea, and public employee performance evaluation superintendent. The board voted to appoint Karen Miner, principal, junior high school principal at Cal Aero K-8, effective November 16, 2018, by the following vote. Cruz, Na, Orozco, and Fikes voting yes, Blair absent, and voted to appoint Isabel Brenes, Director of Human Resources, effective November 16, 2018, by the following vote. Cruz, Na, Orozco, Fikes voting yes, and Blair absent. No further action was taken, which requires public disclosure.
Thank you. Leading the Pledge of Allegiance tonight is Mr. Carl Hampton, our principal at Boys Republic and our adult school.
Would you please stand? Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are now at comments from our student representative, Alexi.
Hello and good evening, board, cabinet, and community. The Superintendent's Advisory Council met on November 6th. Our meeting began with a discussion on ways to improve communication when conducting virtual meetings. Next, students were put into groups to discuss action steps and their hopes for our mental health initiative. All of the schools agreed that a very important aspect of this project will be the unity of not only the students at each school, but all the students in the Chino Valley Unified School District. Many expressed the interest in either a care center or safe space for students. Schools are undergoing the process of securing locations and organizing for these spaces to be made available to their student body. I am eagerly awaiting our next meeting, in which we hope to extend our usual meeting time and meet at a larger location on January 8th to finalize our plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexi. I accidentally skipped over the superintendent's presentation. Dr. Enfield.
President Fikes, you probably knew what I was going to do. That's probably why you skipped over it.
Oh.
Oh. President Fikes and Mrs. Orozco, as you are aware, tonight is your last official night as a school board member. And I wanted to take this opportunity to recognize both of you for your service to the district. And I don't think the public always knows the work that the two of you have done in our district. Both of you put in a tremendous amount of time and energy in serving this district. The number of meetings that you attend, the questions that you have, the follow-up that you have, the meetings that you follow up with staff on, you are very into the details and really go above and beyond as a board member, really understanding what's going on. And that's just, I'm just talking about a board agenda. That's not talking about all the other issues that go on in the district that you like to follow up with, and I appreciate that as the superintendent. The energy and effort that you put into that, it really is, it shows the commitment that you have to the position as a board member. And secondly, I would also, it's very important that that I recognize that both of you have always made decisions which you believe are in the best interest of our students. And that is a critical trait to have as a board member. The mission that we as educators come together is always looking at what is in the best interest of our students and asking those tough questions, asking that of me as the superintendent, asking it of staff, and really figuring out what is the best route that you believe would best benefit our students. And I truly, again, appreciate and I commend you for that, and I have always been very impressed with both of you with that. And so with that, I would like to ask President Fikes if you could come down here for a moment and join me. I want to give you this plaque, and I know how much. And these flowers. Then I just have something that I want to read about you, Mrs. Fikes, and so let me share this. Although you've served I've only served one term and have decided not to run again for the election, let me take this opportunity to thank you for your service to the district these past 4 years. As a teacher, but also as an administrator, your perspective was always one that needed to be heard and oftentimes acted upon. Your questions and perspectives about curriculum were not only thoughtful, but at times kept us from making errors in the implementation of the curriculum for our students. Further, your extensive knowledge on a wide range of educational issues has helped guide the board in a number of areas that has positively impacted our students, and you have always brought that perspective as an educator. I would also like to personally and public thank you for accepting me as the superintendent. You have made me feel valued these past 5 months, and nothing is more important for a new superintendent to be highly regarded and respected by their board members. And with that, I want to thank you, and I will miss our conversations. Thank you. Mrs. Orozco, would you mind coming down here and joining me? Here for one moment. Mrs. Orozco, it's without a hint of exaggeration that I can say you will be sorely missed on this board. Your statesmanship and quiet but forceful leadership served the district well during these past 12 years. You provided needed guidance during the worst financial crisis in this district experienced, and with your accounting background, you were always mindful that one of your primary roles was as a steward of the district's finances. In dealing with any and every issue, I knew that the well-being of the district was always your primary concern. On a personal level, you have supported me as a director and as assistant superintendent of human resources, as the deputy superintendent, and now as the superintendent. I will miss our private conversations we have had where I have sought your counsel on issues that have directly affected the district. I know you would always give me your honest and sage advice for this. I will always be grateful. On behalf of the district, let me thank you for your years of service on the board. Your contributions will not be forgotten. Thank you.
We are now at comments from employee representatives. Danny Hernandez, Csea President.
Good evening, President Fikes, Superintendent Enfield, board members, and community. I wanted to start off by thanking Dr. Enfield for highlighting Mr. Diaz in his Above and Beyond from Oak Ridge. He's a custodian at Oak Ridge, highlighting him and putting the video out there. It's a testament to all of our classified employees that they go above and beyond every single day, but it was very much appreciated that the plaque, the little presentation, the video online, it was very much appreciated. And I know Mr. Diaz is a great asset to Oak Ridge, and I just wanted to say thank you. I also wanted to share that this coming month, or excuse me, in December, Csea along with ACT will be having a Christmas donation drive. Any unwrapped gift we will be donating to Freddie Rodriguez's, Assemblyman Freddie Rodriguez. Also, We teamed up again with ACT for the donations for Thanksgiving to for Isaiah's Rock. I just wanted to thank community, our members, for making some donations to them. As Dr. Enfield said or mentioned, I wanted to thank President Fikes and Ms. Orozco for your years of service to Chino Valley Unified School District, not only the students and community, but also the staff. We don't always see eye to eye, but knowing that you are putting the best interests of the students first is the best avenue you can take. It's always difficult when your deficiencies are highlighted, not only by the community, sometimes by the press, and maybe your victories aren't so much highlighted, they're forgotten. But just know that your successes are very much appreciated for your years of service. Thank you.
I don't see Mrs. Farley. Okay, anyone from CHAMP who wants to represent them tonight? All right, then Brenda Walker, ACT, President.
Good evening, President Fikes, board members, Dr. Enfield, community, and guests. In the spirit of the Thanksgiving holiday next week, I want to offer thanks tonight. Last week, the California Teachers Association Service Center for our area held their Superintendents Luncheon. I want to thank Dr. Enfield for attending with me and for offering your support. Congratulations to Mrs. Brennis. As a former Husky, I know that leaving Chino Hills High will be bittersweet, but I wish her continued success in her new role as Director of Human Resources. Our thanks go out to Csea Chapter 12 for partnering with ACT for the food drive to benefit families in our community. Donations were given to Isaiah's Rock, and we appreciate all the work they do for the families in our community. We're also working together to stuff a school bus for Freddie Rodriguez's Toy Drive open house in December. Thank you to both groups for their generous donations. A huge congratulations goes out to Briggs science teacher Danielle Weinstein. She was honored at a ceremony held by Assembly Member Freddie Rodriguez's office. There were 8 teachers recognized in District 52, and Danielle was one of the 2018 Educators of the Year honorees. So thank you to Assembly Member Rodriguez for acknowledging our hardworking teachers. We had more amazing teachers honored on the same exact day. The following educators received mini grants from the Chino Valley Lions Club to fund special projects. Allison Berg, Nora Prairie, Erin Dasher, Stacy Howard, Jeannie Morley, Scott Rossin, Tori Milan, Eileen Leong, and Grace Tortolat. Good job to those teachers. On behalf of ACT, I would like to thank you board members Sylvia Orozco and Pam Fikes for your years of service, your hard work, and your dedication to the families of CVUSD. I hope you'll stay connected and in contact with all the staff and the students. And to our newly elected board members, Christine Gagne and Joe Schaefer, we look forward to working with you. I hope everyone has a chance to rest, recharge their batteries, and connect with loved ones next week. Happy Thanksgiving.
We are now at Community Liaisons. Presenters serving as Community Liaisons should limit their comments to matters relating to their community agencies. If you would like to comment on agenda items or non-agenda items that are of general interest, we would appreciate it if you would complete a speaker card, as all other community members do. Art Bennett, Chino Hills.
Thank you, Ms. Fikes. Board members, it's always a privilege to come up here, and thank you for reading that announcement. It'll keep me on track. I appreciate that. some people appreciate the humor in that. First and foremost, I want to congratulate Pamela Fikes and Silvio Orozco for all of the wonderful service that you have provided the school district, the students, the parents. It's a real labor of love to spend your time here with very controversial items and to stand up for what you believe in and to help run this district and make it one that we are all proud to be a part of, and the children benefit immensely from your leadership. So thank you so much for that. I would be remiss if I didn't do a shout out to Oak Ridge Elementary for this last Friday's Veterans Celebration. I am a very proud Vietnam veteran, and for the umpteenth year, I think they've been doing it for 20 years or so, they honored approximately 50 veterans, including 2 World War II veterans, and it was a very moving and very appreciated ceremony. So a shout out to them for doing that. I want to let you know of a few things that are coming up. Next week, with the schools being closed because of the Thanksgiving holiday, we have chosen to do an active shooter training exercise on Monday the 19th. It's going to occur at the Chino Hills Community Center, which is, of course, directly across the street from Ayala. We chose that day so it would minimize disruption and concern with children being in school or in class that day. The date was chosen again because of them being off on the break. The Chino Hills Police Department and Chino Valley Fire District will participate along with the city staff at the Chino Hills Community Center from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Several shifts will participate in the training. Signage will be posted to notify the public. Message boards on Peyton Drive. All of the walking trails around the community center in McCoy will be closed to the public. Work to notify the public that it is training exercise only, including the Ayala SRO. There's going to be simulated gunfire, so if anybody is in the area on Peyton on Monday, do not be alarmed. It's just our staff getting prepared in the hopefully unlikely event of an active shooter. Things that are coming up, we will on Saturday, December 1st from 5 to 8 at the Chino Hills Government Center. It'll be our second annual Chino Hills Police Department Toy Drive. Bring a $10 unwrapped gift and take a picture with Santa. The event will be supplying local kids that really have a need at this time of the year. The activities will begin at 5 o'clock, arts and crafts, face painting, hot chocolate bar, and there will be a craft fair with a variety of handmade holiday-themed items. We'll have live entertainment provided by Rock Stars of Tomorrow, and if you haven't heard these young kids, there's some really unbelievable talent and musical talent. And the tree lighting ceremony will begin at 6:15, followed by Santa's arrival and visits from 6:30 to 8. And this year, for the first time, we're going to actually have the Christmas tree in the breezeway in between City Hall and the library. The very next day, on the 2nd of December, we're going to be having the 2nd annual Chino Hills Community Foundation Holiday Home Tour. We'll be touring 3 homes from 4 to 6 p.m., reception from 6 to 8. It's $40 per person. If you'd like tickets and information, you can go to chinohillshometour.com. The foundation provides funding for worthwhile projects, and Chino Hills' next project is going to be the playground at Los Serranos Park. Okay. The holiday home decorating contest, if you want to enter if you live in the city of Chino Hills and you'd like to have your home looked at and judged for possible holiday decoration, you can file before December 7th. And finally, 2 other things. Boat parade on Tuesday, December 18th. That's the blood drive on Tuesday, September 18th. That will be from noon to 6 at the Government Center. And with the boat parade in mind, we will have our boat parade Friday, December 22nd. The Kiwanis Club of Chino Hills is making applications for parade entries. And for those of you who may be new to the area, yes, we have a boat parade in Chino Hills. It consists of boats on trailers that are powered by generators on the vehicle's pulling them. Several of you have actually been in that parade. People say, a boat parade in Chino Hills? Where do you have water enough to have a boat parade? Well, we've always been unique, but this is one thing that we pride ourselves in being. So, with this upcoming celebration of the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, I warned people, and again on Tuesday night at our council meeting, that the children are going to be out of school. They're going to be happy because they're taking one of their first major breaks of the year. They're not going to be looking for cars. So I've cautioned everybody to be mindful of that, make sure that these precious little gifts we have remain unscathed by maybe something that they aren't thinking too much about, running out into the street or whatever. So, and also because it is the period of Thanksgiving, you know, our founding fathers recognized the need for an annual celebration of Thanksgiving. And I would just ask everyone within the Chino Valley Unified School District to have a thankful heart, to be aware of the fact that there are people and children in our district that are homeless or are not getting proper meals. And we have our group, the Hope Group, helping our people every day. If you find it in your heart that you have a way to give something back, get in touch with the school district and the Hope Center, and be sure that you help out groups in our area that can help students in the Chino Valley Unified School District to hopefully have a happy Thanksgiving. And with that, I wish all of you a blessed Thanksgiving, and thank you very much for your time.
I don't see Paul Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez is not in the audience. Mike Krieger? No. Someone from Superintendent Hagman's? I don't see Mrs. Campani. No. So on we go. We are now at comments from the audience on items not on the agenda. Pat, are there any requests to speak on non-agenda items?
3 requests to speak on non-agenda items.
Speakers will be called in the order the request was received. Please listen for your name and be prepared to approach the podium. Any comments on agenda items will be accepted during consideration of that item. Once the board has commenced deliberations on an issue, speaker cards will not be accepted. The board is very interested in your comments, but please bear in mind that the board typically does not respond to comments during this time on the agenda, as it is reserved specifically for public comments. Individual members may respond during board comments at the end. Additionally, the board does its best to support the public's right to address its elected officials. It's also important that the board conduct its business in an orderly and fair fashion, as provided by Board Bylaw 9323. In the event that an unusual amount of speaker cards are submitted for any item, the board will hear up to 30 minutes of comments. In the case of non-agenda items, the board can, if it chooses, hear the remainder of comments after all business has been conducted. Mr. Na, will you please explain the light system?
Speakers, you have 3 minutes to make your comments. Please begin your comments at the green light. The yellow light indicates you have 30 seconds. The red light indicates your time is over. And before you begin your comments, please adjust the microphone so you can be heard clearly. And audience members, please refrain from making comments while speakers are at the podium.
Speakers, please remember that in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323, Bylaws of the Board Meeting Conduct, limit remarks to 3 minutes total for all remarks, and please limit remarks to new points. The board would like to remind you that Board Policy 1312.1 contains the procedure for anyone who wishes to file a complaint against a district employee. Please follow that procedure. The first speaker is Carl Hampton, followed by Don Bridge, followed by Franklin Peck.
Good evening. A lot of people asked me tonight, why are you here? Are you on the agenda or something? No. I just wanted to say thank you, ladies, the two that are going off. You've both been very close. I've had a lot of real positive interactions, and probably one of my saddest days as an administrator was the day I was asked to deliver pink slips. And Mrs. Fikes, I had the duty of delivering you your pink slip when you were a teacher at Canyon Hills. It was a really sad day for me and for both of us, I assume. but you handled it with such class and such dignity, and made me feel good in trying to get something done that just had to be done. And I've always appreciated that about you. I thank you so much for what you did with the AVID program. Many people don't know that you had the largest junior high AVID program in our district. You were in charge of it. It was one of the best run programs in the district, and I want to thank you for what you did there. Mrs. Orozco, we go back a little bit further. We go back, and your son Mark was one of my ball boys at Chino Hills High School when I was a principal there. And it was at that time that he made up his mind that he was going to be a Husky. Yes. And he just graduated from that school in June. So I'm excited. I want to thank you for the time that we spent together working on Baldy View ROP, your passion for a number of things, but that stuck out to me, just how much you cared about the programs and our kids. So personally, I want to thank you both. You've both been a blessing in my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Bridge.
President Fikes, board members, Dr. Enfield, staff, and guests. Good evening. I'm Don Bridge, and with the school board election now behind us, I would like to address the board and community with a couple of points of personal privilege. First, I'd like to offer congratulations to Christina Gagne and Joe Schaefer on their victory in winning the two seats on the board. I know they will do a great job in moving our district forward for our students, employees, parents, and community. I would also like to commend the other candidates for their campaigns and showing their interest in wanting to serve our school district. I also want to extend special thanks to the Associated Chino teachers, President Brenda Walker, and to Csea Chino Chapter 2 and President Danny Hernandez for their organization's support of my campaign, and to the many people, too numerous to mention, who supported and voted for my candidacy. Also, I want to offer special thanks to my wife Jan for being right alongside my side in this campaign. We knew it wouldn't be easy, but you were always right there helping with whatever we needed to do, and I will always be grateful for your love and support. And now we'll have a little more time to enjoy our first grandchild, a granddaughter, Margaret Ann, now a month old. And finally, I want to congratulate Pam Fikes and Sylvia Orozco for their time on the board. Thank you for all of your hard work, long hours, and dedication and service to our school district. And lastly, everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Franklin Peck. Franklin Peck.
Good evening, board, President Fikes. I just want to say thank you guys for your service and all that you've done. Got to know quite a few of you guys during the process when we were trying to save our charter school. And I thank you for the opportunity you gave us for our new charter school. It means a lot to our children, new kids that are there and the old ones. But I wanted to come and just thank you guys for your service, but I wanted to thank everybody for all that they do for our children. I wanted to recognize our troop as 206. They can stand up over here. These are, you guys work really hard to educate them and get them going, and we have our other leaders over here. We have Curtis Roberts, his wife owns a talent factory over here. I want to say thank you to him. He's our den leader. John Cardenas as well over here. He is the president of our youth group for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I want to thank him as well. So while you guys have worked really hard to help our children get their education, and these gentlemen over here as well help them try to form them to become also leaders in the community. And these boys, I wanted to show them that all they have to do is sign up and come up here and say something. But like I said, I got to know you guys, some of you guys very well, and I really, truly appreciated your time, your service, and whether we're on the same side or opposite sides, you guys truly, you heard us out as parents, and I can't thank you enough for that. So again, if we can give them a round of applause, I really appreciate these, all the service that you've done. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. That was kind of very surprising.
Yeah, this was nice.
So pleasant. We are now at changes and deletions. Pat, are there any changes or deletions?
There are none.
We are now at the action item. Please announce the item.
Item 2A1, new board policy 5020.1, students model parental rights in child's education policy.
Board Member Andrew Cruz recommends the adoption of new board policy 5020.1, students model parental rights in child's education policy. Are there any speakers?
There are 6 speakers. Erica Rosenblum, followed by Naomi Minogue, followed by Lisa Greathouse. Erica Rosenblum.
Hello, good evening, President Fikes and everyone else on the board. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I have some notes on my phone actually. First, I just wanted to double check that, from what I understand is that this policy is going to tell teachers about students that are LGBTQA+, and also telling parents. I just wanted to make sure that that was accurate to some extent before I started. Hi, my name's Erica. I'm well educated on the LGBTQA+ community, and I believe that this proposition is actually quite dangerous. This is taking away someone's basic human rights and an invasion of privacy. This could even make more students possibly suicidal, from in my case. I know a lot of people that have been I don't know if you guys know the term outed, but that's when you're basically forced out of the closet. And I know a lot of people that's really affected them. Some teachers and people in positions, not most, but on occasion, they will treat you differently if you are out as a student. Even if they don't mean to, sometimes it's just kind of subtle, and that can really affect your learning. Along with that, telling all the students' teachers could potentially harm them. On top of this, informing parents as well could lead to being outed and discriminated against, not only by their peers, but by their parents as well. On top of that, I'm not exactly sure how you would be able to obtain that information of whether a student is gay or trans or anything like that, because it's difficult, especially not everyone's out, especially during high school, and I feel personally it could be very scary. In my case, it's terrifying to come out to people, and I feel like people should be respected more with that, because it's their choice to come out, whether or not they decide to come out to a few people or to the entire school or to their parents or to their family. And especially if, say, you have a cousin at your school and their parents find out that you're LGBTQ, but you're not out to your family, and they tell your family, that could be very dangerous for that person, especially if their family is homophobic. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. But thank you so much for hearing me and listening to me speak today, and I hope that at least some of what I said goes into consideration with your choice. Thank you.
Naomi Minogue.
Good evening, President Fikes and Mrs. Orozco. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your heart. And no matter which side we were looking at, I know that you always looked at the bigger picture, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much, and best of luck to you both. Last week, the voters of the Chino Valley sent a clear message to our community and elected 2 people for our school board who do not come attached with personal agendas, nor are influenced by outside religious groups or entities. Bearing that in mind, this board also has the opportunity to send a message to our district, the message of solidarity and unity against the Capital Resource Institute, which seeks to encourage acceptance of the parental consent policy. At the last board meeting, a thorough analysis was presented by the district's attorneys and unveiled the proposal as a clear violation of state law. Despite encouragement from a current board member to accept this policy, which would violate state law, the board should be mindful of the likelihood of additional litigation and associated costs. An additional lawsuit will take away valuable resources from our children in the classroom, is unnecessary and unwanted by the community at large. Voting for this proposed policy puts our district backwards instead of moving us forward. It is my hope that this board will recognize the importance of following our laws and policies and keep them in place. Our current board policy has been successful. Our students have benefited from our curriculum. I ask you to please vote no on this proposal. Please stand united with this last vote as you move together to our future. Thank you.
Lisa Greathouse.
Good evening. First, I'd like to congratulate Joe Schaefer and Christina Gagne on their election to school board. And I'd like to thank President Fikes and Sylvia Roscoe for their years of service. Ms. Fikes' service in particular shows how vital it is to have someone on this board who has been a public school teacher. Your insights and perspective have been invaluable, so thank you. In the meantime, it's disgraceful, frankly, that once again, board members Andrew Cruz and James Naw have wasted the valuable time of this board and our district administrators, not to mention thousands in taxpayer dollars to pay CVUSD attorneys in an effort to promote their personal religious agenda and spread fear and discrimination in this community regarding the district's parental notification policy. Make no mistake about it, Karen England and her Capital Resource Institute has been shopping across California looking for a right-leaning community with a school board majority she can manipulate. Then she leads so-called forums at churches during which she wildly exaggerates what the state public education system is teaching our children and spreads fear about their safety and sows doubt about the judgment of our teachers. Once she has everyone riled up, she rallies parents to bombard these school board meetings, even parading church members from hundreds of miles away to speak up about this so-called attack on family values. She misleads parents into thinking that they can't have their children opt out of sex ed curriculum when of course they can. But her intent is even more insidious. She wants teachers to be prohibited from ever mentioning anything that has to do with gender identity, sexual orientation, bullying, or family. Any teacher will tell you this is simply impossible as these issues come up every day in classrooms. Oh, and it would violate state law. Anyone who listened to Attorney Margaret Chidester's presentation at the last meeting knows that implementing Karen England's policy is discriminatory and illegal and will lead to lawsuits that we will not win. It's simple, really. Any parent who disagrees with California's policy of inclusion in state curriculum should lobby at the state level, and in the meantime should take their child out of public school and either homeschool or look for a private school that shares their values. We are a state that values personal freedom, abhors discrimination, and believes in equality under the law. So when a transgender child enrolls in a school, we do not, as Miss England would have it, make sure that everyone knows about it, regardless of that child's right to privacy. Ms. England is looking for a school board that doesn't care about being sued, since taxpayers will be the ones footing the bill to advance her misguided cause. Let's not be that school.
Juan Villalba.
Hello, good evening, board members, community. I'm a parent of 2 children in the school district, and I'm here to voice my concern regarding this new policy. I've been here on the last board meeting, and I heard the words of your counsel, of your lawyers, the district lawyers, and they said this proposal is unlawful, completely illegal. And I'm concerned, I'm even baffled that it's being proposed to to be voted. The message from your district lawyers was absolutely clear. This is unlawful. So I'm completely baffled, again, for having to bring this over. I implore you to vote no on this, on the adoption of this model parental rights policy. In addition of being unlawful, it singles out those are who are different, some who are especially high at risk of suicide because they are constantly being told by society that they are less than and that they should be feared. We already have the option to opt out of sex ed if we so choose. This policy is just ridiculous and unnecessary. It will open the floodgates to more litigation, as the previous speaker mentioned. Education dollars should be spent on education, not on litigation, defending a policy that is clearly against state law. That's all there is to it. Have a good evening.
Loretta Creelman.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the name.
Loretta Creelman.
Thank you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Loretta Creelman, and I'm indeed in the minority here in this congregation here. It's delusional for me to think that, and naive for people here to think that there is not another voice in this. We are not all on the same page. I'm not after your beliefs. I'm not trying to destroy your beliefs. I want to uphold my beliefs. And I have a great sense of humanity. I believe we're fooling ourselves into thinking our government knows best for all children. Respect for dignity has been removed as the government uses decisive actions like AB 2601, thinking nothing of parental rights or religious convictions of any student. The sexual orientation is viewed by me as pornographic and disrespectful. Our children are constantly being exposed to increasing levels of it. The aim is to desensitize our children to the values of dignity and human life. Parental rights are targeted, eliminating any sense of moral authority. Children are being programmed not to interact with their parents since their parents are losing their rights. So what authority do they hold? Children are being taught that they hold no laws over them. A 12-year-old can go and get the after sex pill without parental conditions. So they've been programmed into that already. For all intent and purposes, the governing bodies in this state should be held responsible for the growing numbers of children with depression and bullying. You are enabling our children with your indoctrination. I'd like to leave this community with this following quote. The state must declare the child to be the most precious treasure of people. As long as the government is perceived as working for the benefit of the children will happily endure almost any curtailment of liberty, almost any deprivation. Adolf Hitler. Thank you.
Lee Gwenview.
Good evening. My name is Lee Genvier. I wish to thank President Fikes and Ms. Orozco for their service to the community. I would like for the support on this matter of 50201. I would also like to see that the school board look at the curriculum that we are teaching the kids, because as I recall growing up, we used to get educated in things like community service, civics, how a bill is introduced, home economics, which meant you knew how to run a budget. Then the kids would grow up and learn that they cannot continue to vote for continued indebtedness that this state is suffering from, to the tune of $1.3 trillion or $1,300 billion. The bills that are being passed by Sacramento for unfunded mandates to teach everything but the basics of education that these children of ours need to have to learn to run a state, to run a community, to run a city are completely overlooked. Instead, we're worried about feelings and everything when we don't even teach them the basics. Growing up, my mom was a cashier manager with Hamburger Hamlet starting in 1967. Marilyn and Harry Lewis ran a very gay, friendly business. Also a very friendly business to minority employees. They were treated very well. When the unions would come by to unionize them, they'd refuse because Marilyn and Harry treated them so well and paid them so much more to get the best people possible. Growing up, I knew a lot of gentlemen who were gay, knew a lot of lesbians and all. They were all good people. They were professionals. We didn't have to be told how to treat people, because when you were treated properly, you treated properly in return. It was just common human decency. I think that's what we need to teach first. Thank you very much.
No further speakers.
Concludes our speakers.
That concludes the speakers.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Comments, questions, or discussion from board members? Mr. Na.
Yeah, I have heard our speakers say clearly. I also believe, as our student has said, protecting all kids from everything. That should be our first agenda. The problem we have is California Healthy Youth Act, nothing else. As I have said in the last meeting, when I took sex education in my time, I had nothing. I had learned that was proper, enough knowledge that I needed to attain, but it was not a number one curriculum that we were worried about. 5 years ago, when my kids were going through these curriculums, there was no concern. They have learned what they needed to learn. But recent proposal that Sacramento had passed, it's called California Healthy Youth Act, is different. Whenever I'm on public, I get held by parents, and they're worried about their children. Yes, it could be a hype, but it is an act that the Sacramento lawmakers had passed that really worries our parents. My intention is not to harm any students, regardless who they are, because that's not who I am. But I am concerned with the new law Sacramento had passed, where most of the public are so worried. It is not who's right or wrong. We're coming to a conclusion that which is going to protect everybody, but we need to send a message that we care about our kids. It could be your grandkids, my grandkids, or future generation. Something went wrong. So all I could say is that we need to revisit California Healthy Youth Act. The Sacramento is trying to push into all the school districts in California. Thank you.
Any other comments? Did you buzz? Because you're not. Oh, there you are. Mrs. Orozco?
Okay. I wasn't sure whether I was going to make any comments or not, but I do have them written down so that I can stay on point. First, I want to say that I take exception to when individuals attack my integrity and insinuate that I am lying, or question my beliefs because I must adhere to the law. This is one instance where I will not stand idly by and allow for our parents in our community to be misled. At the last board meeting, Ms. England, first during her public comments, stated, quote, "We've been given incorrect information, including information that Ms. Orozco has been handing out as she's been canvassing about different policies, and I'll go into that a little further," end quote. She never did go into that a little further, so I'm going to state for the record. And looking back at when I was canvassing, I didn't even have any school board information with me, so her statement is untrue. However, when I was asked, I did pull information from the district website from my telephone, and I would like to say that if she's aware of something different or of something that I supposedly handed out that was incorrect information, then I challenge her to produce it. And I wish she was here because she spoke to me then, and I wish I could speak to her. Second, she stated, quote, "I will say publicly I don't know who's lying or why they're lying, but I know the curriculum we were given. I know the information we were given about your policies. Your opt-in form doesn't go with what I requested with Open Records Act," end quote. To Miss England, I will say publicly, you have shared misinformation at best, distortion and lies at worst about our curriculum, our policies, our teachers, and our district. So let me share some facts. This past May, I had a scheduled meeting with Ms. Gina Gleason, and to my surprise, also present were Karen England and Mike Spence. During that meeting, the conversation was primarily between myself and Ms. England. The topic was regarding the controversial curriculum and her proposed policy, which I had previously been provided a copy. I communicated to Ms. England that the graphic curriculum which she was describing to me was not being taught in our district. Her comments included, well, Orange County is teaching it. My response was, no disrespect, but I don't care what Orange County is doing. I only care about our district and our students and our parents. And perhaps her fight should be in Orange County. So let me state some additional facts. Prior to the summer, Miss England was provided with this notebook. This is the notebook that our teachers are using. Apparently, this edition does not meet all of the Healthy Act requirements. And yes, we are aware that a few of our teachers who participated in a county pilot of HIV comprehensive sex education may have a login to a teacher support materials folder that allows them to access the most updated Positive Prevention Plus that meet 99% compliance of the comprehensive sexual health education, but is not district approved or board approved. Our teachers obtained their copies of this notebook from our own printing department. Staff has confirmed, because I asked them to confirm, with teachers who teach the class that this in fact is the material being used, and yes, supplemental material provided to our high schools is Positive Prevention Plus. Ms. England has shared with the community that this instruction begins in kindergarten and each grade thereafter, and provided examples of each grade's curriculum beginning with kindergarten. And she stated, "We are at the Chino Valley Unified School Board meeting, and teacher after teacher got up this week advocating for your kids need to learn this stuff." That's not true. While there might be curriculum available, our district does not teach in every grade beginning with kindergarten. And for the grades that it does teach, as I stated earlier, the district uses curriculum that does not meet all of the Healthy Act requirements. Ms. England has suggested that they don't have to get your permission. She has inferred that we don't allow opt-out of the curriculum. That message has been conferred by the multiple emails that we received, and most recently a phone call that I received where a caller stated, "I'm calling to ask that the board allow parents to opt out." And when I shared our current board policy, her response was, "Oh, okay, thank you. I wonder why I received this email." I didn't know how to respond to that. To reiterate, our board policy was last revised in 2009, and within it, it states Ed Code, which requires that parents, guardians be notified of the opportunity to request that their child not receive the instruction. And currently, in our policy, The following paragraph states, a parent guardian must consent in writing that his or her child be allowed to participate. Also contrary to her November 1st statement, quote, your opt-in form doesn't go with what I requested with Open Records Act, end quote. I asked for everything that was provided to her. Another questionable statement was she made, given that she did receive a copy of the opt-in form in her public records request back in June, specifically Exhibit 5. And not only did she receive the district letter and form, she also received the high school's form entitled Positive Prevention Plus Sexual Health Education for California Youth Parent Permission Letter. Next, regarding the policy. The policy is convoluted, if is the best way to, because there's so many issues and there's so many, one says specific, one says any. Her comment was, quote, this policy is very specific. It actually, in the definitions, is written very narrowly. It's instruction to a captive audience that is coming from the teacher, end quote. But when in fact the policy is broad, because as was alluded to in the presentation, as written, it can be interpreted to relate to other subjects. Her comment, quote, no one wants to out a student, end quote. Yet the policy calls for, quote, specific circumstances resulting in the privacy concern, end quote. Then reference was made to, quote, a legal memo and letter stating this policy is not in violation of any state or federal law, end quote. Yet the presentation by our district's attorney highlighted multiple issues causing grave concern. This policy could potentially violate not only our own board policies, Ed Code, FERPA, and federal regulations. But what I found most interesting, as she talked about all the Supreme Courts, all their wins, was that she failed to mention something as simple as naming other districts that have already implemented the proposed policy, and if there are any, whether they have been legally challenged. Ms. England made reference to ACLU in her comments. And for the record, the district has received a letter from ACLU. In part, the letter states, quote, parts of the proposed policy would be unlawful, and just as importantly, would be extremely destructive to vulnerable students' sense of safety and well-being at school, while other parts of the proposal duplicate existing California law, end quote. It continues, and parents, please pay close attention to this next part. Quote, at the same September 6th meeting, the district's current policies and practices regarding comprehensive sexual health education also came to light. Thus, we also write to remind the board of the district's continuing obligation to adopt curriculum that is compliant. The second concern in their letter refers to content. Quote, if, as we suspect, this curricula were in place prior to CHYA, California Healthy Youth Act, and do not fulfill its specific requirements, and thus the district must select new curricula. Third concern in their letter, quote, the district must change its process from opt-in to opt-out, end quote. Ms. England stated, you all have the choice, and I'm quoting, you all have the choice. You can go with Planned Parenthood and the ACLU, or you can side with parents and community members. The board is supposed to represent the public and community, end quote. This board was siding with parents. This board was sensitive to our community. Rather than create chaos by telling parents that we're teaching in kindergarten and every grade thereafter, which is not true, or directing parents to videos and tape recordings that are available from the vendor, which we do not use, why not simply ask for, or have a parent ask, to preview the material that is actually being taught in our district, because that privilege is given to parents within Ed Code 51938. Bottom line, apparently, our curriculum and policies do not fulfill all the C8, California Healthy Youth Act requirements. However, because of this chaos, this board will have to update its curriculum. This board will now have to update its policy from opt-in to opt-out. Parents, with our policy, you had to give permission for your student to receive the instruction. Once the updated policy is implemented, you will need to be more diligent to be aware if you want to opt out. Because parents, if your junior high school or high school student fails to give you the notice or simply fails to turn in the opt-out form, your child will receive the instruction. I believe an email we recently received stated it best. Quote, "Whether anyone believes in the spirit of the policy or not is irrelevant at this point. If this policy is unlawful, it is a responsibility of those who believe in the policy to seek the appropriate channels and attempt to influence state law," end quote. And that's the key. If you want change, the change has to happen at the state level. I'm an elected official, and I will not put this district at risk of potential litigation and liability, or worse, jeopardize district funding. As the writer states, my beliefs are irrelevant, and I must follow the law. I am all for supporting causes, don't get me wrong, but not at the expense of our students, our parents, and our community. Miss England used our community to try and fight a cause, and as a result, has derailed all our efforts to be sensitive to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I would just like to echo Mrs. Orozco's comments, but I would also like to add, it was particularly troubling to me to hear the demonization of Planned Parenthood and ACLU. Planned Parenthood, regardless of commentary that makes it sound like an abortion mill, offers low-income health providers to women of all ages, and to portray it as anything other than that is simply incorrect. No other comments? Then,
I have a comment.
Oh, Mr. Na.
Ms. Fikes, yes, I do agree that Planned Parenthood do other things besides killing babies or having an abortion. It's a tough subject matter when we're talking about abortion, especially when you're in a school setting, because you're looking at little kids, and any of them could have had that experience and would not be here, including myself. As an educator, as a parent, grandparents, things do happen. Sometimes, we will have to run a red light. If someone is deathly ill or in an accident, we would have to run that red light. Is it legal? Nope, that is not legal. But things happen in your life. However, in a normal sense, you don't say it was okay. I ran the red light, or promote that. It was okay. That's not good, because that's not a truth. It was a bad thing to run a red light, but it had to happen. When things happen, let us own it. It wasn't a good experience, but had no choice. But when you look at news about Planned Parenthood and why so many people are upset, listen to them also. There's a great reason for that. I cannot imagine having even a dog go through abortion. There's no way, because lives are precious. The deaths do happen, yes. Intentionally, yes. Sometimes unintentionally. But I cannot, with clear conscience, glorify that fact. So, seeing our students for the last 10 years, all lives are important. Thank you.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Hang on, Mr.
Mr.
I
Cruz.
just want to say,
You're not on.
what I'm on now?
You're on now.
Yeah, I just want to say that.
Oh, you're
The
not turned
microphone-
on.
Your microphone's not on.
On the
on now?
bottom.
No, it's on top.
No.
Test. Yeah, I just want to say that, you know,
Talking.
the way I see this is that the sex education program, there's no law to this. And that's what I fear the most. And that is the future years, the future decade, where this is going to go towards. And based on my readings and history, this is going to go deep and cold and real hard against our community in the future. I think a lot of you just see personal things, and that is justified, but I can't fathom to my good conscience to accept something that I know in the future is going to be detrimental to our humanity. No way. So I think a lot of people, misinterpret a lot of things, but this one, my gut tells me, this is going to go deep and very destructive with our human civilization. Thank you.
Mrs. Orozco.
Yeah, I've got to share that at a prior board meeting, Mr. Nall made the comment about trying to work out a workable solution to address all sides. And I think that's what needs to happen to address all sides. And with Karen England simply saying, here's this policy and accept it as it is, was not good, because that policy has so many issues with it. I only mentioned two. There's a lot of issues that even I saw. So I'm not saying disregard people's feelings. I'm saying you've got to work out a workable solution for all sides, not just accepting something as is because someone says that it's good. Thank you.
Does that end the commentary? All right. At this point, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed?
No.
No. Preferential vote?
No.
The motion fails with a vote of 2-2. Next item.
Item 2B1, appointment of member for the Measure G Bond Citizens Oversight Committee in the category of business organization representing the business community located within the school district's geographic boundary.
Recommend that the Board of Education consider the applicants and appoint one to the Measure G Bond Citizens Oversight Committee in the category of business organization representing the business community located within the school district's geographic boundary. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers. There are no speakers.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
And a motion to nominate someone.
Motion to nominate May Evangelist.
Comments, questions, or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Preferential?
Aye.
The motion passes with a vote of 4-0.
Item 2C1, public notice and hearing regarding the Associated Chino Teachers' initial bargaining proposal to the Chino Valley Unified School District for a successor collective bargaining agreement effective July 1, 2019.
Recommend that the Board of Education give public notice and conduct a public hearing regarding the Associated Chino Teachers' initial bargaining proposal to the Chino Valley Unified School District for a successor collective bargaining agreement effective July 1, 2019. I now open the public hearing at 8:10. Do we have any speakers?
No speakers.
I now close the public hearing at 8:10. There are no further action items. We are now at consent. Pat, are there any speakers on consent items?
There are no speakers.
Board members, do you have any polls? Ms. Orozco?
None.
Mr. Cruz?
None.
Mr. Na?
And I have none.
And I have none.
Everybody started.
For the consent items, then, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Orozco, second.
Second.
Mr. Na, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Preferential?
Aye.
The motion passes with a vote of 4-0. We are now at board member and superintendent communications. Mrs. Orozco.
All righty, my last one. Congratulations to newly elected board members, Joe Schaefer and Christina Gagne? Gagne. Christina Gagne. I just want to offer them both, myself, to be available to you if you have any questions or you want a little insight on some background or whatever. Just feel free to call me, email me, text me, and I'll make myself available to you. And I also would like to compliment all the candidates for their campaign efforts because it is not an easy task. And I especially like to highlight Don Bridge and Jody Moore, who ran strong campaigns. Now, 12 years. First elected to the board in 2006. I just want to say that I am honored and I am thankful to have had the public's trust and the opportunity to serve these past 12 years. During my service, I always tried to serve with integrity and with thoughtful leadership. There are so many people that I need to thank through my journey, and I'm not even going to try and name individually because I know that I'll forget someone. So I just want to say thank you to all the staff, teachers, classified, admin, all the board members that I've served with, including the ones that I'm sitting with tonight, and especially to my family who, as a board member, your family kind of takes the back seat. And so I couldn't have done it without their support. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And with that, I will conclude my final board comments.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, Orozco and Ms. Fikes, for your service. It's been really a sacrifice, you know, putting your time into this and sacrificing for other things that you'd rather do. So thank you. And you have a joyous Thanksgiving, and God bless our veterans. Thank you.
Mr. No.
I'm going to solely miss Ms. Fikes and Ms. Orozco. I have been always talking about being a decent human being first, and second, being a good neighbor. And these two ladies are those fine people. And we would, yes, they're not going away. They still live in our town. So we get to meet and have foods and together, things like that. So I'm grateful they're still with us. And our newly elected, blessed two individuals who could come on the board on next meeting. Wish you all the luck. And when you have your heart in the right place, everything is going to be fine. There's always a start of everything, including the leadership. So I hope that you really enjoy it and be a great asset for our students. Recently, I have met a young homeless person, and I believe he had graduated from our schools, but he became homeless. And I had well, matter of fact, he asked for food. So I took him to Wendy's, and I asked him to order anything he wanted to eat. And for surprise, he only ordered that was on special for like $4 or $5. And I said, why don't you order more food? He said, well, you need to save your money. And so I have learned that he was in a wealthy family before, but through family problems and then sometimes you go into a deep end. So he became homeless, and he learned how precious the money was. So he was thinking that he was worried about me, actually, spending money on him. But let's go back. As we grow older, even our high school students, you guys are really smart, I know, because I talk to you guys all the time. As we live longer, there's less time. It's the same thing like when you have less money, you watch what you spend. So we need to, as an adult, watch our time here. As we get older, we have less. So let's use our time that is worth it. Use it for the right causes, loving people, being kind to each other. Have the difference. But just thank everything that we're living in this great country, United States of America, where we could buy all the foods we want to buy, or if we work for it. And we can enjoy our parks, enjoy our shopping, and each other. I'd like to thank our student who voiced her opinion. Yes, we need to be mindful of everybody. So thank you for coming to our podium and talk to us. I loved our students who were Boy Scouts, Unit 206. I had a chance to talk to them for half an hour. It was a great experience again, because I remember my Boy Scouthood time years back. But when we're facing this Thanksgiving time, we need to also think about those very unfortunate people, people who had lost their homes in fire, for instance, lost their loved ones, or spending time in the hospital because of their loved ones, or our youth trying to look for jobs to help out their parents. Everyone's are amazing, and everyone's are important. Thank you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving Day.
Dr. Infield.
President Fikes, Mrs. Orozco, again, I want to thank you for your service, your support, and I truly will miss you. Thank you. And then to everybody, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
So in my closing remarks, I'd like to say this 4-year service has been quite a ride. And I welcome Christine and Joe. You will enjoy it. You'll be frustrated. But I will tell you, I spent 41 years as a teacher and a school administrator. And I had a healthy skepticism for the district office. I didn't come to the school board with any one issue. A lot of people come with one issue. But probably that was a little piece of my wanting to be on the school board, was to straighten out a district office. I'd worked in several districts and knew they needed straightening. But I really want to assure our audience that's left here tonight, as well as community members who are watching, that our district office really has wonderful people in it who are responsive to the community, responsive to our employees, and lead by example. I find them at the ready and at their desk, early and late. And I have every confidence in the leadership of Dr. Enfield. I know you will do wonderful things. I have been honored to be an employee of this school district. I had the most wonderful kids, terrific parents, and wonderful colleagues. And I've been honored to be your school board member. I thank you so much. Good night.